Hello, geometry, and welcome to day one of our new unit, unit 9A specifically, which is all about finding surface areas. Okay, so let's go ahead and start taking some notes. Feel free to pause the video at any time to write down what you need, make whatever diagrams you need to, highlight, underline, however it is that you take notes. Let's start off by defining a 3D figure. So a 3D figure is called a solid. And when a solid is formed specifically by polygons, it's called a polyhedra. Now we can classify polyhedra into prisms and pyramids. Now, a couple things to note about prisms and pyramids. Prisms have two bases, and we'll talk about what bases are in just a moment, whereas pyramids only have one base. And if you notice, all pyramids have at least one vertice up at the top where their lateral faces meet. Okay, so those are just some differentiating things to tell you the difference between prisms and pyramids. Now, when we're talking about naming prisms and pyramids, it's all about that base. No trouble. Kind of like the song by Meghan Trainor. So when we're naming prisms and pyramids, we name them using the base of the figure and then adding the word pyramid or prism. So for example, this first figure right here is going to be called a rectangular. Did I spell that right? Rectangular. There we go. Rectangular prism. Because we've got two bases up on the top here, top and bottom here. The next figure, well, let's take a look at what our base is. Our base is a triangle, so this is going to be called a triangular pyramid. This one's a pyramid because we've got all of our lateral faces meeting at one point on the top. This next figure right here, a lot of you guys would know that as a cube, so we can call that a cube. We can also call that a square prism, but a cube is just fine. Okay, this next figure right here, let's figure out what our base is. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 sides. So this is going to be a hexagonal. And do you think it's going to be prism or pyramid? If you said pyramid, you're absolutely right. This is a hexagonal pyramid. Okay, let's figure out what the base is in this next figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5. So this is a pentagon. So pentagonal. And then do you think it's going to be a prism or a pyramid? If you said prism, you're absolutely right. This is going to be a pentagonal prism. And here we go. This last one has a square base. So this one's going to be a square pyramid. So that's how we name our prisms and pyramids. Figure out what the base is, put that as the first word, and then you're going to add the word pyramid or prism based on what the name is. Okay, so now when we're working with these two figures, we're going to need to find our LSA and TSA, and this is what these two words mean. So LSA, we're going to call that lateral surface area, and that's going to be the sum of the area of all of the faces of our shape. And total surface area is the sum of all of the faces and the bases. And remember, just when you're doing total surface area, just remember that you need to add in a prism the two bases, and in a pyramid, just make sure you add the one base. And so, oh, it was over here. Let's come down here. Okay, so let's talk about what bases, faces, edges, and vertices are. Okay, so a base is the top or the bottom of a pyramid or prism. So I'm going to highlight the bases in all of these figures. So these are bases. Okay. Now in a rectangular prism, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can pick really any two sides as your base. Oh, and I forgot to highlight the two triangles up here. So in a prism, remember there's two bases, and I highlighted the top and the bottom in both. So those are your bases. Now your faces are all going to be congruent to each other. So in a pyramid, your faces are actually made up of triangles. So all of these sides that I'm highlighting here. In a prism, your faces are rectangles. Those are the shapes that I'm highlighting here. And I'm choosing to go all the way around here so that you guys can see. So those are your faces. And let's do edges. So edges are just the lines where a face and a base meet, or a face and another face. So here's an edge, here's another edge, here's another edge, here's an edge, here's an edge, here's another edge, here's another edge, and so on and so forth. A vertex is where 3 or more edges meet. So let's do vertices. So like here's a vertex, here's another vertex, here's a vertex, here's another one and another one. It's the corners, vertex, vertex. And here are some vertices on the other figures. Okay. In the next video, we'll go over some examples for finding lateral surface area and total surface area.